What you're about to listen to is a Bry-Fy production. Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Bry-Fy podcast. I'm your host, Bry-Fy, your comics guy, and got a bit of stuff for you today. Also, we're going to ignore the fact that, once again, a late episode, but hey, whatever. You don't care, right? You're just happy to hear my voice, is what I'm trying to gaslight you into believing. But, yeah, so I warned y'all. I told you fantasy football season was around the corner, and it's here now. Thursday was the first game, and that I would probably be emotionally and physically unavailable for the podcast. So maybe I didn't spell it out to you, but you should have known. You should have implied that from when I talked about getting ready for like my fantasy football drafts and stuff, that you weren't going to be number one on my mind. And it's not going great. It's going awful. So my mood is already quickly beginning to plummet, but that's okay. It's only the first game. My mood can get way worse. There's at least 14 more games for my mood to hit absolute rock bottom and even lower than that. So we'll see. This podcast will be a great psychological study on the fantasy football mind and the social implications of said fantasy football team. So yeah, this has now become a research podcast, people. Anywho, hopefully you're doing a lot better than I am on this day. You're excited and you're ready to tackle whatever it is you got going. Yeah, now I'm a motivational podcast. We just switch from depressing to overly positive. That that's what I do. And my God, man, I feel like I just woke up for whatever odd reason. I've been awake for a few hours now, but it's like my eyeballs haven't woken up yet. I don't know if you know that feeling of like, what are they? Not crusties. Like, I mean, yeah, I got crusties in my eye, but it's like eye goop that won't come off of your eyeball. I don't know if this is something you wanted to hear today, but unfortunately, this is me. But it's like this eye goop. I don't know. Goop is probably wrong. It's like my eyes are overly producing liquid, and I can't seem to rub it off of my eyeballs. It's starting to go. It's starting to clear up now. It's just a weird sensation of feeling blind. Anyway, this week, guys, what do we have for you today? Got some nifty nerd news, and we're going to talk about the live-action One Piece over on Netflix and how it is probably going to reign supreme compared to all of the other live-action anime adaptations that we've seen up to this point. And that's pretty much my review. All right, episode over. Let's go. So, yeah, let's take a short break right here, and then we will get into the nifty nerd news. All right, y'all, up first in the nifty nerd news, let's talk about Burning Man, because that's something I never thought I'd be talking about ever. But so things have been going pretty crazy. This last week was Burning Man. It's in like one of the Nevada deserts. I don't know which one. I thought the whole state was a desert. I haven't been. Anyway, things have not been going great over there. Basically, there was a huge rainstorm and multiple rainstorms that have turned this flat piece of desert into essentially like a giant mud pit. But one of the major concerns and like one of the gags, I guess, as well, that people have been making about Burning Man is calling it Trench Foot 2023. Because being out in the wild and having wet feet is not good. That's something we've learned from Vietnam. Ha! History repeats itself. Not really. But things have been going pretty crazy there. And then, there's been reports, at least one report that I know of someone dying out there. And it looked like that the flooding had caused one of the electrical generators that was out there. Someone, I guess, got too close to it, or there was a short, something happened, and they ended up dying due to that. So, electricity and water, not the best mix. Surprisingly enough, that's not even like the most deaths that has happened at a Burning Man. In fact, I think 2 years ago, I was trying to remember an article that I was just kind of glazed over, but like they've had like 4 deaths and 2 were due to like women trying to give birth out at Burning Man, because that's a thing apparently. Well, I mean, I guess when you have thousands of people gathered in one place, there's a lot of things that could happen, So it's possible, yes, women that go out there while pregnant try to give birth or have like no other choice but to give birth out there because you're stuck in the desert. Supposedly some people try to actually give birth out there, because it's like a spiritual experience or a drug-induced. I don't know. I've never been to Burning Man, but it ranges from a whole bunch of people, like super potheads, weird crystal people, and celebrities. Like, those are the 3 types of people that go to Burning Man. And then, like, the other 2 deaths, I think, were, like, heart episodes that have it out there, which, makes sense. Hell, even at my job, like, there's got to be a heart episode every now and then because you have that many people, right? Like, so many X amount of number of people, eventually someone's medical condition is going to flare up and something will happen. I mean, it's just like the law of averages, I guess. So, like, Burning Man, thousands of people, it makes sense some of those people are not going to make it through the week, whether it be, well, it appears to be from natural causes for the most part, but kind of weird, kind of strange. But what's also been kind of weird and strange is, like, there's been 2 camps for Burning Man. There's been like this, Burning Man's awful, it's a shit show, and like people are just going crazy, like the negative camp. And then there's the, like, I don't know, some would call them deniers, other are like the positive people. They're like, everyone's blowing this out of proportion, like everyone's doing great here, like everything's going crazy. And so it's kind of weird. One, because I'm not there, so I can't verify who's right and what's wrong. I haven't seen a lot of pictures come out of Burning Man. All I know is Chris Rock, and I can't remember who else was with him, had to, quote-unquote, evacuate with a fan's vehicle to get out of the desert. And that's really the major headline that came out of this past Burning Man. Chris Rock escapes Burning Man in the back of a fan's truck. Like, I don't know. It's kind of crazy, kind of weird. But yeah, that's Burning Man for you. If you didn't know, now you know. Now you can talk about something at the water cooler with your friends and your coworkers and other people. The one you hate, the one that always knows things, but now you know things. So get them. Other bit of news here. I saw this really nifty robot online. It's called Nimble, the Nimble robot, aka the cooking robot, the robot chef. And it will literally prepare food for you. It is quite possibly the most interesting thing I've ever seen and the most futuristic thing that I've ever seen come out of any type of robot. I mean, I know like Boston Dynamics has been making murder bots for years, but Nimble is taking the great robot design and making it actually useful. No, Boston Dynamics does a great job. But right now, you can only pre-order or book a demo with the Nimble robot. But the way it works is you set up, like you tell it, hey, and I guess it has like a preset of all the food that it's capable of cooking. And it also has different drawers that you would put said raw food into. So there's like let's say we just want to make like a Alfredo, I guess, or like a chicken Alfredo or something like that. There is a spot to put like the ingredients for the Alfredo. You would put it in this drawer. There's a spot for the chicken. You would put the raw chicken in there. And there's a spot for like the noodles, like whatever noodles you want to use. They even have little spot drawers or whatever for like all the seasonings you would use, like salt, pepper, oregano, olive oil, like all those kind of things. And so basically you still have to I guess not prepare it, but you have to load all the ingredients into the robot. So you're still doing a third of the work here. But, well, you got to take it out of the cooking spot. So you're still doing 2/3 of the work here, but it's doing the actual ingredient stuff, which are the actual cooking things, which I guess, at this point, why not do it yourself, right? But I guess also it frees you up to do other things. Like you could be setting the table, you could be doing all this. While the robot takes care of the cooking, you can take care of the guests and things like that. I saw a demo on it. It looked pretty interesting. It's piqued my interest. I don't know because everything's timed, so it times how long the noodles should be cooking. It times how long the meat should be cooking. Versus the eyeball test that you do, or how I always test if my noodles are cooked all the way. You eat one, and if it's too al dente or too tough in the middle, then you cook it for longer. The robot, I don't think, does that. It doesn't have a mouth to taste test or anything like that. So you just gotta pray and hope that things are gonna work out right. It's like a football coach. You prepare your team for the best that you possibly can. You give them all the ingredients they need to succeed. You give them the game plan. You tell them, all right, this is how we're going to do it. And then they got to go out there and they got to execute the plan. And the coach, you can't do anything. You can holler encouragement or derogatory things from the sidelines, but you can't physically go out there and make changes. So you're at the mercy of your players. And that's kind of what the cooking robot is. A cook that you're at the mercy of, and you're the one supplying the ingredients and doing everything else. But it's doing the cooking, so that's good for you. I don't know. That's just something I saw. I thought was really interesting. I don't know. Once again, another thing that you can talk about to your friends and loved ones and let them know, hey, this could be, pretty decent. People maybe with medical conditions or, arthritis or things who can't, sit there and hold utensils to cook and things like that, to have a robot thing that can take care of all that for you. And basically it's like a really glorified mixer with a cooking pan underneath it. But to have something like that for people who might not be able to cook for themselves for whatever reason or another actually is a good thing. Don't let me sell this thing short. There's some good stuff about this. What's not good is this next bit of nifty nerd news, and it's that a Delta flight had to return they had just started a flight. I think they were maybe an hour or maybe 2 hours in. They were going overseas from the U.S. to some other country. They had to turn around because, and I quote, a passenger had diarrhea all the way through the plane. And that's not an exaggeration. This person diarrheaed all the way through the plane trying to get to the bathroom. And as the headline suggests, they were grossly unsuccessful in their attempt to get to the bathroom. And how bad does it have to be that, the plane captain, everyone on board was like, yep, turn this bitch around. I would rather just not go to another country because of all this diarrhea than to just tough it out for the next 10 hours, which, granted, 10 hours is a long time, but I've had a baby, so I understand what it's like to smell like poop for the rest of your life, because that's what happens when you have a baby. Everything just smells like poop for everything and everywhere. But I don't know, man. Should we feel bad for the person who diarrheaed over themselves? No, you should have known better. You should have just already been heading to the bathroom. But that's disgusting. And it leads me do they have any cleaning supplies on the plane? You would think they would have some basic, but I guess diarrhea all through the plane. You don't really have that much cleaning supplies. They don't carry buckets of cleaning. They just have squirt bottles. And they probably have two, one Clorox wipe and 2 things of Mr. Clean. And they just hope for the best. I don't know. Anyway, that's pretty much it for the Nifty Nerd News, guys. We're going to take another break here, and then we'll get into talking about the live-action One Piece. All right, guys, we're back in the car, and now I have my son RJ with me. You want to say hi, RJ?
Hello, I can't hear you. Mom!
I apologize. Anyway, so now we're going to talk about it, the thing that I've been dying to talk about for at least 2 weekends now. Not this weekend or recent weekend, but I guess a week ago. Since the last podcast. I'm sure I talked about watching it, but we weren't going to review it last podcast. This podcast, we're reviewing it, and that is the live-action One Piece. Out on Netflix right now. The whole season's out. It's 8 episodes, and I got to tell you right now, it's a positive charge for me. Like, just getting to the nit and grit of it, it's a positive charge. You need to go watch it right now. If you are a fan of anime and want to see how live action can do it correctly or do it in the least disrespectful way, for sure, then the One Action Live Piece is what you need to watch. I gotta say, from start to finish, I was thoroughly entertained with this series on Netflix. And by far, it's been just one of my favorite Netflix series. It's fun, man. It's very true to the source material. They do take some liberties that I think, after now starting to read the manga, because I've never read the manga before. I've never read One Piece manga. I've watched some of the anime. My wife is way more into the anime. She's watched it from start to finish. She's all caught up on the anime episodes, and so she was super into the wanting to see the live action. I was mildly interested, to say the least. But when I tell you that the live action One Piece has made me a fan now, that's no joke. I have now begun to read the manga because I've been told that a lot of what it pulls comes directly from the manga versus the anime. And so I wanted to start reading the manga. Plus, I've been told there's a lot more in the manga, and like you'll enjoy a lot of it, so go check it out. And it's real easy for me to sit down and read versus sit down and having to watch anime. So I prefer reading manga versus watching anime most of the time. So I started reading the One Piece, and from where they start to finish in the live action is about, some people have said 100 chapters. I haven't gotten that far yet, so I haven't got to where the live action ends yet, but I'm maybe 3 episodes in, and I'm only 40 chapters into the manga. That's how much time is taken care of, or that's how much they go through with the live action. They're not powering through these chapters and these books, but they're able to fit quite a bit in the live action, but it's still a very coherent One Piece story. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. I'm loving it, man. I'm enjoying every bit of it. I think the liberties that they take in the live action versus the manga are to help, one, streamline the storyline, which I think, honestly, the story's great in the live action. It never feels too dragged out. It doesn't feel like we're losing anything. I never was watching it and thought to myself, I feel like there's a big chunk of story I just missed out on. And why isn't this happening? No, I feel like everyone gets an adequate backstory or a telling of who they are and why they are the way they are. And so I'm never left wondering, why does this person behave this way, or why would they take this action versus the action that I think is reasonable. And you get enough of everyone's backstory or enough of who they are that lets you know what type of decisions they're probably going to make given certain challenges or questions that they're presented with throughout the anime. And that's probably as vague as I can be on this story because I don't want to spoil really much. There's going to be mild spoilers, but I don't want to take away the joy that I got from watching this live action, because when I watched the anime, I never watched the very beginning episode, so I didn't see how the crew came together. I didn't see all that, so that was all news to me. And so it's great, man. It's fantastic. Like, seeing the crew and how they come together, and how maybe not too natural, but like it works. Like, it flows. Like how any anime team gets together, like how are all these people in these locations just happen to meet, and they've just happened to decide, you know what, I haven't teamed up with anyone ever, but you're the person I want to team up today with. Like, so, like, yeah, there's those bit of stretches of the imagination, but that's like how all team movies are, right? Like the Avengers, or like Ocean's 11. Like, these people are brought together for certain circumstances. That's what I meant to say. And it's all contrived for plot reasons, whatever. But I think it, like, to me, them getting together and them joining forces makes about as much sense as any other movie that's done it. So there's nothing glaringly wrong or like out there with how the Straw Hat Pirates crew comes together. In fact, like I said, I'm a big fan of it. I really enjoyed it. Everybody's character gets time to shine, gets time to see where they come from, and they're all likable. Like, there's not a character on here that I don't like. In fact, after reading the manga, I think some of these guys are too likable. Like, especially my boy Usopp. So, watching the live action, I've become a huge Usopp fan. If you don't know who he is, he's the guy with the slingshot. He's the sharpshooter of the crew, and he's for lack of a better word, he's a storyteller. Like, he likes to tell elaborate stories. Some might call them lies, but in the manga, he's a dweeb. He looks like a dweeb. He's annoying. He complains a lot. He's scared of everything. And the live action, he is all those things, but he is goddamn good looking. He has like really good charisma, which I think kind of leads itself to the storytelling. And so that's my only guy, like that's my only character on this show that I'm like, you're not like what I know at all. And so, but he's better. Sanji, the guy who kicks and also the cook of the crew, is really awesome. He's got like this air about him that, he's better than you, and he's really bad at talking to women, but he loves talking to women. So that was really funny. Zoro, the samurai swordsman, the pirate hunter, if you will, he's calm, he's cool, he's just a badass, and it's really funny. And he's also Luffy, the captain. He's his first mate. He's the first crewmate in the anime and the manga, and it happens the same way in the live action. And just them coming together, Nami being witty, being tricky, being smart, and kind of being like the voice of reason in a lot of ways through this live action, through this story, which in many ways is not very down to earth. Like, there are things that happen and things that are kind of like wacky, and she's kind of like, the everyman, the voice of reason that kind of like puts it all in perspective, which I really enjoy about that story. And of course there's Luffy, man, the go-getting, super positive, knows for a fact he wants to be a pirate and is going to do whatever it takes to become a pirate. Like, that's Luffy. And the guy who plays him, can't remember his name, in Enrique, or they call him Kiki. Like, that's the nickname I've heard them call him. I can't say his name. He's a Mexican guy with like a very unique name that I've never heard of, but he is I truly believe, and with all these characters, like seeing them interact personally in interviews, one, they have great chemistry, just them as people. Secondly, I feel like these characters fully embody who they are portraying. And I call them characters because they are characters each and of themselves. Like, but these actors fully embody the characters that they are portraying in this show. And it is 100% the most fantastic thing that I've ever watched. I can't describe it. The world is not out there. Like, there were some people worried in the trailer, like, how is it gonna look? Like is it gonna be like Zack Snyder-ish? Like, everything has like this weird tint to it. But when I tell you that being in this world and getting to see it feel lived in, and just like all those experiences are fantastic. Like, it is a lived in world that doesn't feel out of place. Like, it feels natural, and the characters feel just like the anime. They're fun, they're funny, they all have, there's multiple layers to them. They're not all just two-dimensional, like, this is the way I am. They will make choices that surprise you and let you see who they really are, which is really interesting. And especially for a story like this, where they're like, essentially there are good pirates and there are bad pirates. The same with the Marines, who are like the police force. There are good Marines and there are bad Marines. So getting to see who's the good and who's the bad, and how they interact with each other, and what means are necessary to get the results that each faction needs, are very interesting to me. And I like I said, I've just enjoyed the hell out of it. So that being said, I've already told you my rating. I'm doubling down on it. This is a positive charge anime live action. You need to watch it. That's just as simple as it is. Go watch it. It's on Netflix. 8 episodes, and you'll be crying because there's not another season out. They haven't even started filming the new season with the writers and actors strikes. RJ, why are you touching the mic? You want to say hi? Don't get
Hi.
too close. Okay, that's close enough. You want to tell everyone bye?
Bye.
Say thanks for listening.
Thanks for
You
listening.
don't have to scream into the microphone. All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in this week. We'll see you next week. Bry-Fy out.
Wi-Fi out.